Have you experienced a strong, intense love for someone? Have you acted upon that desire to be with them? You must have, right? Say, how many of us have felt a strong, urgent need to find a cure for world hunger? How many of us have acted upon that desire? Who's to blame for the disparity in both actions? I say it's the stories we tell ourselves. It's the stories that compel us to prioritize our behaviors. Stories help us recognize our most urgent collective needs. Here's a wonderful story about a story of an unrequited love from the forest of Australia. In the forest of Australia, you would often find bejeweled beetles intensely in love with a beer bottle. The bottle has these tubercles, bumps, little dimples designed for better grip at its base. And in the female beetles, similar looking sacs represent egg carrying capacity. The male of the species, as it turns out, cannot resist the opportunity of having more progeny and hence addicted to the sight of these bumps, bigger and clearer on the bottle and hence sexier. Now, what is remarkable is that bejeweled beetles do not have an industry organized around the production of these bottles to entertain themselves. They don't create beetle porn or beetle toys to hack into their minds and produce these behaviors of addiction. We do it for them as we do it for ourselves. Bejeweled beetles don't have beetle billionaires profiting from the sale of beer bottles to a demographic of middle class males. Whereas this is the foundation of many human enterprises. From pornography to politics, from media to sports, the human world is laced with such bottle bumps. Small biological markers that can be and are often easily replaced with synthetic cosmetic amplifications. Makeup for blush that signifies fertility. Airbrushing for six pack, which is a mark of muscular strength and aerobic agility and hence a steady supply of food. Plastic trees for resource abundance. And propaganda about this menacing, hateful other as a mode of manufacturing a notion of kin. As it turns out, instead of looking for the entire set of qualities in the world around us, we have evolved to look for small, unique fingerprints. Processing data is resource expensive. So evolution has us look out biological metaphors, narrative clues, stories, if you will. But what if? What if we are as concerned with what we put into our minds as we increasingly becoming with what we are putting into our bodies? What if there is inalienable evidence that culture is as important as food? Would we scorn a junk culture? And would we worry that it might damage us in the same way as we now know that junk food does? Could junk culture give us diabetes and depression? Some scientists have begun to argue that it just might be doing that. I'd like to add that it could give us something worse, an inability to recognize and solve our most urgent problems as a species, like reversing climate change, neutralizing resource disparity, and preparing for pandemics. Instead, bad stories make us prioritize the same thing that has sustained us in the forest and caves over and over again. Our mating rituals, safeguarding ourselves from the fictitious outsider, the other, the enemy. Basically making more babies and fighting with each other. Think of this through the lens of revolutionary biology. Carbs and fats were rare and essential for us as hunters and gatherers hundreds and thousands of years ago. We needed to generate energy for long days of hunger and hardships. Natural selection has embedded a software in us that rewards us and makes us feel good when we consume carbs, when we consume fat. As a result, market forces reward and prioritize the production of sugar and corn. We have built industries dedicated to consumption and distribution of carbs and fats, and we create more industries encouraging us to consume more and more. For years, industries have prioritized the production of materials that has been designed around this early brain quality. Production of dimpled bottles to keep our beetle brains addicted. This is because we have been programmed by natural selection to pay the most attention to sex and violence as a means of survival. Privilege the learning of procreation and staying safe in the face of danger. Our species depend on stories to survive. Everything around us is built on stories passed on to us by our ancestors. Be it literature, physics, history, everything is essentially telling a story. A cave painting tells the story of what's safe to hunt. A sonnet sings the story of beauty and attraction, a ballad of moral courage. It's the one thing that separates our species from every other. Our ability to not only record and remember, but imagine alternate past and potential futures. If you lived in the times of colonizers, would you have shown more courage? Do you think that you could fall in love with a robot? Stories are solutions. Through stories, we can insert ourselves in the memories and dreams of others, share their mistakes and wisdom with each other, and learn from them. So we don't have to reinvent penicillin and instead move forward toward finding the cure for cancer. So we don't need to reinvent the wheels of civilization and justice over and over again. To balance the addiction of junk food, we created a simulation of actions we were meant to perform while hunting and gathering. Run, jump, attack, lift, pull, push. We have a name for this simulation. We call it the gym. But how about a cognitive gym then? As we need an updated diet for our non-hunting gathering lifestyles, we need to upgrade our stories for a civilization where the most urgent problem is not procreating more of our kind. There are 7 billion of us after all. But it is to make life more sustainable and peaceful for generations to come, for more and more people. At the same time, the story is an exercise to train the muscle upstairs for a far more complex world than what our genes are used to. Stories are simultaneously the mind's diet and cognitive gym. The structure of a story is if, then else. It's a software upgrade to a genetic software in a world changing rapidly because of human actions. Stories take brute force out of natural selection. As a seeker and writer, I am passionate about knowing and inventing recipes of knowledge that are nutritious and delicious. So each day at my desk, I sit and ask myself, what is the avocado of culture? What is the turmeric latte of movies? I have just begun to scratch the surface of what I think is possible with nature's greatest gift to us, a story. Fact is an observed memory of the universe. Emotion is how we respond to those facts. Stories are recipes of facts and emotions cooked together by the chemistry of causalities that you can taste without actually burning your tongue. It's the responsibility of us youth to make them delicious. On the eve of Makar Sankranti, Khichdi, Lohri, Pongal, I urge you to make them nutritious. Happy Makar Sankranti. Namaskar.